Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to another Sunday video. I'm out of practice. Recent reads on Sunday because I took a week off last Sunday and Wednesday. I didn't upload, as you of course noticed, and you were really sad. It was just what we call here when I went to school, we would get days off because of the heat, hitzefrei, heat-free, and that's what I did because it was scorching last week. It's still very warm, but at least it's bearable. And if I want to wait until I feel comfortable in order to film a video, you will probably not see me until September, and you're not going to survive that. So anyway, recent reads on Sunday. So the books that I finished, and fortunately, because it was so hot, it's not that I have 2 weeks of, stacks of books, because I just couldn't read that much. My brain was mushy. But I did finish a couple of books. And the first one was a nonfiction book I raved already in my last recent reads. And that is Michelle Nighthouse, Beloved Beasts, published last year. This was a buddy read with Heidi from My Reading Life. And if you don't believe me that this is a fabulous book, don't take my word for it. Go hop over to Heidi's channel because she already reviewed it and she loved it as well. Michelle Nighthouse is a science journalist, a science writer. This is her first book, and it's all about the conservationist movement. I have difficulties with this word. So we get a historical overview over the development of conserving nature from the 19th century into the present day. And it's focusing on people who were important for the development of conservating nature. It's a little bit, if you will, tiny biographies stitched together, moving forward in time, but it's also giving political background. It's focusing on the US, I should say, but it does give some global views on, for instance, some African countries, but also the more global approach by the United Nations, some organizations that are linked to the United Nations, but the personal accounts is focusing on U.S. policy and U.S. Policymakers, researchers. I thought it was brilliant, absolutely riveting to learn something about how these type of thinkings of how to preserve nature, how they changed over time, how it was, for instance, linked with preserving hunting grounds and how that changed. So if you are interested at all in our environment, I'm sure that you will enjoy this book. It is a science book in a certain sense. I mean, it's not giving a lot of scientific facts, or you don't need any scientific knowledge, but it is dealing with scientists and their research and what they did. But the author had, for me, such an engaging way of talking about these people, Rachel Carson among them, of course, that I thought it was a brilliant book. But like I said, don't take my word for it. Go watch Heidi's review. And she is a scientist, and she loved it too. And then I did 2 rereads because, like I said, the heat was kind of getting to me. And what I often do then is I turn to rereading because I already know the book. I don't have to, it's not requiring so much brain power. So I read the first 2 parts of the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. The first one, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, where it's focusing, if you don't know the book, I love this series. I love this series. And I think the second one that we'll talk about in a little bit, is probably my favorite. But this one is set in space on a spaceship, and we follow one crew with the focus of certain crew members, and their spaceship is tunneling, making tunnels, so kind of wormholes. The science is not important. It's not explained a lot. What is important in the book is the relationship between the various species, because it's not only humans on that spaceship, but other species, and how they deal with each other. And you can easily, see how you can project the book on present day dealings with various groups and minorities, and how we focus on certain details that are weird to us when we encounter, peoples that we haven't encountered before. And she has a very good way of telling an engaging story, but also making us realize, that we might have to work on our openness to people who are not like us. So I love the story as well. And then the second book, the first book was published in 2014, and the second book 2016, 2 years later. And no, I'm not going to talk about the stickers because it's too hot for me to rant. A Close and Common Orbit, 2016. This book is starting at the time the other book is finished, but it's not a sequel in the true sense of the word. It takes a minor character from the first book, Pepper, who lives not on a spaceship but on a planet, and who is a tech support woman, more mechanic. She's building and repairing stuff. So we meet her in the first book, but this is her story from her childhood and her life now. And the other character that is taken from the first book is the IA, Lovelace, that I'm not going to, if you haven't read the first book, I'm not going to spoil you, but that IA is, together with Pepper, the main focus of this book. And I love this one because it's more, for some reason, more focused, because maybe the cast is smaller and my mushy brain can handle that better, but especially because I loved the main characters. Pepper is such a wonderful, wonderful character. Two IAs play a major role, Owl and Lovelace, and they too are fantastic characters. So this is definitely my favorite. So those are the books that I finished since last time that I talked to you. I'm still working on Thin Places by Kerry Nee Doherty, an Irish author, a memoir, and this is the July pick for the Book Naturalist book club run by Heidi from Her Reading Life and Doris from All the Books, who is now in China. I haven't made much progress. It's a memoir, the author's memoir. She's born, an Irish author, born in the middle of the Troubles, the height of the Troubles, early 1980s. And this is her account of her life, but also what nature meant to her as a saving instrument, if you will. And then I have 3 books that I've started since I last talked to you. The first one is a buddy read with Adam. As always, I will leave the link to his Instagram account below, even though he was on YouTube. On Stephanie's channel, Time to Read, for the mid-year freakout tag. So if you haven't watched that, go over to Stephanie's channel and watch the video. And you should watch Stephanie's channel anyway. But we are reading this, Maud Martha by Gwendolyn Brooks, published in the early 1950s. And this is one of the books that I want to read for the 1001 challenge. Gwendolyn Brooks was a Black American author. She is a poet. This is her only novel. tiny little thing. And on the list, the 1001 a book that I have to read before I die list so far is her most famous poem, Annie Allard. Anyway, mushy brain. But I might also put this one on the list. This is the story of Maud, told from when she was a little girl, 6 or 7, until she is a grown woman in her 20s, in short chapters that are constructed like vignettes. So the book moves forward in time, but there is not a plot attached to it, other than that we learn about Maud's life. And so far, I'm almost finished, and we will have our final check-in today, and I'm just loving it. The language is exceptional, but it's also this, Adam calls it this slice of life kind of approach to a book, that through these vignettes that are certain events, or, a birthday, or the school, you really learn something about the main character. That's the focus, but also about being a Black girl, woman, in the 1950s in the US. So I'm loving it. The next one that I started is also a buddy read. I talked a little bit already about it, The Widows of Malabar Hill by Sujata Massey. This is a buddy read with Terry, who also used to be on BookTube, but I will also, like with Adam, leave her Instagram account below. This is also for the 1001 book challenge for me. Sujata Massey is an Indian American author, and this is a crime, a mystery novel set in the 1920s India, in Bombay, as it was then still called. And the main character, I think it says something, a Pervin, mystery of 1920s India, but the main character is Pervin, which means star, Pervin Mystery, and she is a young woman in her 20s, and she is the first and only female solicitor in India, and it's about her work, and then of course there is a murder, and plot takes off from there. I'm really enjoying the read. It's a bit of a slow burner. I'm about a third in, and we will have another check-in tomorrow with another third. So I hope that it will pick up the pace. And of course, the fact that it's the lawyer, the main protagonist is a lawyer, is, on the one hand, it always fascinates me because, my background is in law and I used to be a lawyer, but it means also that I'm always very critical. So if things don't quite, are not quite the way they should be from a lawyer's point of view, I'm always like, So we'll see how that works. But it's certainly an entertaining read. And the third book that I've almost finished is this, My Phantoms by Gwendoline Riley, an English author. I knew her name because one of her previous books, I think this is her 5th or 6th novel, one of her previous books was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, back then the Orange Prize. This is her latest, published last year, 2021, and it was a gift from somebody for watering their plants. There you go. And I sort of completely forgot about her, that, she was on my radar because of her shortlisted or longlisted book. But then, so when I got this book, I thought, Gwendoline Riley, I've never read anything by her. And that's definitely something that I need to remedy, because she has a very, very own style. Even though the topic of the book is something that you've seen a lot of times, and it's not something that I'm gravitating towards, because it's about a mother-daughter relationship, told from the perspective of the daughter, telling us, I'm looking at my dirty glasses, sorry, telling us the mother's life. In that sense, it's a little bit like Anne Wright's Actress that I read 2 months ago and loved, even though it was not a topic that I gravitate towards. And it's the same here, because the way she tells the story is, so different, so original, I would say. But I will talk about this once I've finished it. So these are all the books that I finished, still working on. And the last book I want to mention is a book that I will start today on Sunday the 24th. Is it the 24th? Yes. And that is also a reread of a classic, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, first published in 1847. And I'm picking up this book because Kim from Middle of the Book March is organizing a read-along of this book, starting today and running until the end of the month, the 31st. The 30th of July is Emily Bronte's birthday, or was Emily Bronte's birthday, and it's also Kim's birthday. So that's why she's organizing this read-along. And this is one of my absolute favorite classics. I love this book. And I told Kim, I'm going to smack anybody who is calling this the love story between Heathcliff and Catherine, because it's not a love story. There's a lot of obsession and misguided passion in the book, but it's not a love story, and it's certainly not a romance. It's gothic, and it's weird, and it's stormy, and I love it. I think it's a brilliant book, so I'm really looking forward to this one. So if you're interested in participating in the read-along, Kim in her last video has published, the schedule. She's not doing any Voxer or any Goodreads. She's just talking about the book on her channel, and you can leave comments on her channel. So that's what I will do starting today with this book. Really looking forward to it. I love Wuthering Heights. I really do. Anyway, so these were my recent reads on Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm very much looking forward to your comments, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.